Hi guys, and welcome today. We are back here at NHVR with Captain Logbook himself, and we are going to be talking about flexibility and on your logbook and stuff. Welcome, Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year to you, and hi viewers. Yes.
Now you tell me that you guys had a forum last year on fatigue or something. So what happened there?
We invited a range of drivers, companies, small operators to come in and talk to the NHVR, the National Transport Commission of the NTC, and also the Deputy Prime Minister's Office about fatigue safety.
Yeah.
What's working well, what could be changed, and what we think is needed in the future.
Which is awesome that you actually involved the industry, which was something we've been wanting for a long time. So what come out of that, Andreas?
Two things. We talked a lot about the law, and we're going to talk to the NTC and the expert panel for the review of the HVNL, or Heavy Vehicle National Law.
Yep.
But what really came out and resonated with me was you guys want flexibility and don't know what flexibility is necessarily out there right now.
Right.
The law kind of works a little bit like a mini safety management system. You might have heard us talk about that with chain of responsibility.
Yep.
It sets a policy, don't drive while impaired by fatigue, and then it says to ensure you don't get fatigued, minimise your risk by working too many hours, guarantee some sleep, keep records in a work diary, and then share those records with others, whether it's somebody on the side of the road or your record keeper back in base.
Yeah.
The law then actually goes on to say if you have alternative ways of monitoring your hours or keeping records, or if you want certain flexible hours to still are safe, we can actually use different instruments to grant you flexibility in those areas.
Okay, so explain that. So what sort of flexibility is available?
Okay, so if you need to, I'm going to give you examples of things that have been approved without names.
Yep.
If you need a few extra hours to do a certain type of route, you might be running. What's a good example? Adelaide to Sydney.
Okay.
It can't quite be done in standard hours, but you can do it if you go into an accreditation scheme like Advanced Fatigue Management.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the kind of flexibility you can get there. If you need flexibility because you have trouble with the work diary, you can actually ask us to set up an alternative arrangement. You basically tell us how you want the work diary to be filled in, and then we can give you an instrument that you can show on the side of the road that you're using those different arrangements.
Okay, so for instance, if you have a medical issue and you maybe a sleep deprivation issue or something like that, your body can't sleep for longer than so many hours, is that something that you can become flexible on? Like if they ring you and have a chat with you about that?
And I think perhaps the flexibility is actually quite complex. There's some rules that we have to comply with under the law. And so we might do some more videos on this if you think it's interesting to your viewers. But the basic premise is whether you need extra time, different rest arrangements, if you need work diary flexibility, or if you have your own way of keeping records, we can talk to you about that. And so long as it's safe to do what you're proposing to do, so long as you know that you've got systems in place that will be used effectively and consistently, then and so long as it's something that can be observed externally, so to speak, then we can provide some flexibility.
Andreas, tell us, if they need that flexibility, what are the processes that they have to go through?
Okay. So fundamentally, the process is, and there's different processes for different tools, different instruments, we call them in the NHR, but fundamentally behind all of them is touch base with us and tell us what you need to do. Negotiate or discuss how you can actually make that safe, because we must be satisfied it's safe. Agree to that in writing so that we can then issue, if we accept it, a legal instrument that you can take and hand out to a person on the side of the road if you get stopped on why you're doing something different to the law.
Rightio. Okay. What are your top 5 tips for accessing this flexibility?
Okay. Number 1. Talk to the NHVR. Tell us what you're having difficulty doing, and you can call our call centre on 1300 NHVR. Ask to speak to somebody about flexible fatigue management arrangements, and you'll be put through to specialists who understand what we can do in terms of offering flexibility.
Yep.
You might find what you want to do is actually possible under a standard hours arrangement or under the as of right rules that apply to everyone.
Yep.
But if not, they can actually then talk you through what might be the best way to get what you want out of the system.
What's your second tip, Andreas?
Okay. My second tip, I suppose, is be prepared to pay back the little bit of flexibility you ask for.
Yeah.
So we can't take the law away.
Mm-hmm.
What we can do is approve alternatives which are just as safe as what's set in the law.
Okay.
And so what usually that will mean is if you come to us and you talk about what you're interested in doing, we'll have a look at it and think about how it might be unsafe.
Yep.
And then we'll negotiate how you can make that safe.
Okay. Awesome. So you're up for negotiation. That's always a good thing.
Well, fundamentally, it's a process of listening to what your needs are, working out what you can do to make it safe, and then getting an agreement on how to make that safe.
Sounds fantastic. Now, your number 3 tip?
Number 3, don't be put off if you ask us for something and we say it's a high risk.
Okay.
There are rules that we follow that are based on what humans can do, the limits of human performance.
Yeah.
We know that, for example, humans who've been awake for 18 hours operate in the same way as somebody who's got a 0.05 blood alcohol limit.
Okay. Right.
So we will actually say, we think, based on this science, that there's this level of risk. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean you can't ask us for that and get permission to do that. It means you've got to actually have alternative arrangements that specifically manage that level of risk.
Okay. Okay, number 4 is?
Don't ask for things you don't need.
Okay.
We get asked for some really exciting things. And
That's
I'm sorry.
A good description.
Some if you want, just because you might sometime in the future need 22 hours of work time doesn't mean that you're going to get approved to have 22 hours of work time every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you ask for higher risk things and all the time, you're going to have to do a little bit more to pay them back, and that makes it a little bit harder for you and a little bit more risky for us.
Any more tips?
Last one. I think it's important that when you come to us, when you actually want to put forward your proposal, we need to have it in writing, because what we need to be able to do is actually write it down for authorised officers to understand. Yep. And we have application forms, so put it in writing on the application form. When you submit the form to us, check that the form actually is correct. Because the last thing we can't issue an instrument and make it legal if it's not if the information we get is not correct.
Okay, so
and I hate for you guys to send something in, do all the work, and then be told, well, I'm sorry, it's not correct. We can't. You'll have to resubmit.
Yep. Okay. Yep. Now these can be permanent changes or just one-offs as well. That's more you can.
So we've got accreditation schemes for permanent. We've got permits and we've got notices. So there's a range of instruments, as I call them, that can either make it a long-term thing or a one-off thing, depending on your needs.
Fantastic. Basically what you're saying is if you have a problem with the work diary, to give you a call and see if you can, make it work for you.
And we don't advertise all of the arrangements we've set up in place, but we are pretty experienced at actually listening to drivers and companies' needs and talking them through the options and coming up with solutions.
Awesome. That's what we need. So that's what we've been asking for, and it sounds to me like you guys are delivering that. So that's fantastic. Thanks for your time today. It's always a pleasure. And we will talk to you again soon. And if you have any questions, guys, let us know. Put in the comments down below, and we'll pop on back and Andreas can answer them. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.